We are live. Everything sounds good there, Trey? Yeah, we'll do an official welcome here in about a minute and a half. I know we're a tad early, but for those that are already on, we appreciate it. We already have quite a few people jumping on. Expecting a pretty good crowd today. Obviously, 401ks, folks, are what we're talking about today, and how to move your 401k into what we call our worry-free split IRA concept, something we created several years ago and kind of trademarked in terms of how we use our Charles Schwab platform along with our expertise in annuities, and we're going to show you how to do just that today. Again, for those who got on early, a little treat. This is the official Tony Walker Annuity King bobblehead. I ordered these in a large amount just to save a little money. Don't Trey, you know how much I spend on these bobbleheads. If you tell my wife, Susan, our favorite son-in-law, Trey, is with us today. And yeah, my wife, bless her heart, we've been married now 35 plus years, high school sweetheart. Every once in a while, she'll overhear what I spend on something for this business. And she's like aghast. And I'm thinking, Susan, if you only really knew. But, you know, that's part of business, by the way, is we're kind of waiting to cover a 401k. Some of you out there actually maybe reinventing yourself, thinking about going into business, retiring. I met a gentleman the other day that really wants to do that. He wants to retire early, think about going into business. The same thing I emphasize in planning, I emphasize in my business. You've got to, number one, keep costs down, but at the same time, you have to reinvest in yourself. At Tony Walker Financial, let's see, we now have 10 full-time employees, bringing on another one. And you say, well, how many advisors do you have? Well, really, I'm the main financial advisor. I'm a fiduciary. We have Heather Hughes in the office in Bowling Green that does some advice. Of course, my favorite son-in-law, Trey, actually just does the life insurance, long-term care, Medicare supplements. So in terms of all the planning opportunities, that's me. And that's what I've decided to do. Many advisors, which is fine, they grow their firms and then they add more and more advisors. And then what I've seen, a lot of times they can't keep up with the service. They've got so much business going on. They don't want to invest in the practice, and they maybe have three poor old people slaving away at the office trying to keep up with all this stuff while they're out running around writing business and playing golf or whatever they do all day. So what I've decided to do, I've been in this 35 years. I'm going to work until the cows call me home, so to speak. I'm going to keep working hard. I enjoy what I do, and I love what I do. And then what I've decided to do is, since I want to meet with all the people in person, and I figure they want my expertise involved in the process, I oversee everything. If anybody wants to meet with me in person, whether they're a client or a non-client, it doesn't matter. I'm happy to do that. By the way, we do have 3 offices now. We're excited to be back in my home stomping ground as a kid, Lexington, so we can work with you there in Lexington. Obviously, our main office is in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then we have where our studios are, where we record the WorryFree Retirement TV show, radio show. That's in Louisville, Kentucky, brand new offices on Shelbyville Road. So that's just kind of an introduction into what we're doing and what we're all about. Obviously, over the years, we've kind of become known as 401k rollover specialist. We've done hundreds and hundreds of 401k plans. And my concern is, as a result, for instance, Gina in our office, it's funny, she's downstairs. Gina does all my media buying, helps Trey with a lot of stuff, but her husband has now turned 55. And Gina's like, Tony, what in the world is it with all these dinner seminar invitations? What in the world's going on? She said, I get these every week, 4 or 5. Folks, the reason you're getting invited to $50 steak dinners is these people know you got money. And that's what we're talking about today. The 401k plan, most of your life savings you've buried into this 401k. Many of you admit to me when you meet, especially hopefully you're retiring or retiring soon or seriously planning for retirement, you don't understand these things. You don't understand the tax laws surrounding them. Many of you don't know the fees being charged. And certainly you don't have a strategy for what I like to say with the worry-free retirement to use and enjoy the money, which is really what it's for. So today we're going to only spend about 15 minutes. We're going to go through some case scenarios of the 401k and really why it was created. And the idea that this is going to sound strange at first, but the longer you leave that 401k in there, listen to me, we're going to show this to you later, the worse it gets, not the better it gets. I know that sounds counterintuitive or contrarian, but it is very true, and we're going to see that. Remember, money is not worth anything until it's converted to cash and used. Other than that, it's just on paper. So we have to have a balance. Certainly, we want to plan. We'll show you how we'll do that. We don't want to run out of money. We can show you how to do that. But we want to use and enjoy the money while we can. And also, we want to thank Aaron, America's favorite financial sidekick. He's manning the cameras. We've got Megan, our newest financial sidekick. She's over running the audio board and the slides. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to get right into it. Let's go, Megan, to the first slide. Who is this really for? So anybody with a 401k of a former employer. So let's say you've recently terminated or you've switched jobs. This happens a lot. And by the way, folks, we don't have minimum account sizes. So maybe you're 50 years of age and you've recently switched jobs and you've got an old 401k you don't know what to do with and there's $30,000 in there. Give us a call. We can help. We can move that over to our split IRA concept. And again, in most cases, there's no cost to move the 401k over to us. But those are the folks that need to be on this webinar today. Maybe you're 59 and a half or older. This is a key age. If you are over the age of 59 and a half, even if you're still working at your present employer, I just did one of these last night. Somebody said, man, Tony, I want to get out of the market. I'm nervous. I've showed them a game plan. They want to move over. They've moved it over now. They're 59 and a half. Literally, he turned 59 and a half yesterday. We've already moved it over, okay? You can do this with most plan documents. We'll verify it for you. And then for those of you who are sitting there saying, well, Tony, I'm not retired, but I'm thinking of retiring soon. Is this something you can help us with? Actually, that's probably our real strong point. We have documented, I've overseen, we have this documented, over 4,000 retirement income game plans. Folks, I've been doing retirement planning longer than most people have even thought about it. I started really getting into the retirement planning area right after 9/11. So we've got a lot of experience. We've seen about everything. So I tell you what, let's do this. Let's real quickly introduce the split IRA concept. And people have used buckets a lot. That's nothing new. I like the idea of buckets, but the way we do this is very, very ingenious. So in the worry-free split IRA concept, if you have a 401k and you say, yeah, Tony, I've gone through the game plan. I've seen what you're going to do. All the fees have been shared with us. We know exactly what you're charging, Tony. We want to do business with you. Move that puppy over. How is this going to work? Well, we take the 401k and we divide it up into one or more buckets. We'll use the example of 2 buckets. So we use at least 2, sometimes more than 2. Now, this is pretty ingenious. We use the Charles Schwab platform. We are registered investment advisors. We can use anybody we want, but we use Charles Schwab, and we put that in what we call the immediate bucket. Now, basically, this immediate bucket will send you any amount of income you want. If you have, maybe we put, let's say it's a $500,000 401k, we might put 200,000 here and 300,000 in this bucket, and we figure out through our game plan that we want to start sending you 2,000 a month, and you say it's plenty. We'll do all the withholdings. We do, everything's managed out of our office. You don't have to work specifically with Schwab. Schwab is just holding the money as the custodian. And Schwab, the funds we use with Schwab are very, very inexpensive. And then the best part is we get you your money at low cost. So our fee, while a lot of money managers charge 1.5%, 2%, all these crazy amounts of money, they're draining that bucket out with fees. Our fee is only 0.6%. 0.6%. Well, what goes in this other bucket, Tony? What, I thought you did a lot of annuities. What's all this Charles Schwab? This is where we put the annuities. Now, there's all kinds of different annuities. We'll have another webinar pretty soon just describing what annuities really are and the different types. But why do we put annuities here? Well, we save the best for last, folks. This is what we use first. We use this during what we call halftime. And during the second half of life, as you start getting a feel for how much money you really need, most people as they get older start spending less and less. This is where what I call the mailbox money comes from. This is where the annuities kick in so they can provide you that mailbox money, which again, by definition, is guaranteed income you can never outlive. By the way, real quick, Megan, let's throw up the peak and trough. I just want to show you this real quick. By the way, I don't know what the market's going to do, folks. I'm not a soothsayer here, but I want to remind you, the market is very, very high. And if you have an opportunity to roll your 401k now for those other 3 reasons we talked about, please keep this in mind. Look at this. On average, look how many times the market has tanked. And those are big numbers, especially if you're retired or retiring soon. The question is, do you want to take that risk or maybe at least move some of the money over? See, with the split IRA concept, we can give you your cake and eat it too. If you want to move some of your money over, we can do that. By the way, I didn't bring that up here. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, but Tony, can you invest my money pretty aggressively in that Schwab platform? Well, most of our clients don't want it aggressive, but we can do that. We have 5 portfolios ranging from ultra conservative to aggressive. Now, again, past performance is no indication of future guarantees, certainly, but I looked at our aggressive portfolio. We can time weight this out. We know what the returns are. We did about 15% so far this year in our aggressive. So again, if you want us to do that with some of your money, we can certainly do it. Again, we're not in this trying to invest and speculate people's money, but we just want to make sure you understand that we're at an all-time high. And if you're not careful, you could go down overnight. So be aware of that. Let's keep moving here, Megan, real quick with the next slide. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, we're just going to go through some quick scenarios in our limited time. This is a different scenario. We'll probably only cover 2 of these because I'm going to cover something real quick. But here's an example of a 60-year-old that's got a 401k with $300,000, and they're 59 and a half now. And they say, wait a minute, you mean I can move that out? We split it out. In this example, we put $200,000 in the annuity, $100,000 with Schwab. They might decide to take their Social Security. We've got Lisa on staff full-time, Social Security certified. She can take care of this and help us figure it out. There's a brokerage account. We can move that over. We can handle that if you'd like us to. And then you can see we started the mailbox money at 70. So this money, the $100,000 and then the brokerage, would be used between 62 and 70 in that example. Then as they get to age 70, they would know that they would have that $20,487 a year guaranteed for the rest of their life. Good stuff. Real quick, another scenario, and then I want to go to the whiteboard real quick. And we are getting ready to open this up for questions. By the way, you're going to get an opportunity to meet with me. This is a great video. This is taken from a movie that was produced. We've even showed this in the movie theaters locally. It's called The Power of Zero, The Tax Train is Coming. For anybody that goes to our website and wants me to meet with them and review their 401k statements and look at this issue of the split IRA, not only will we provide a free written game plan, I'm going to give you a free DVD of The Power of Zero, The Tax Train is Coming. Not only is this thing probably a $29.95 value, I can't remember what I paid for these. That's kind of like the bobbleheads. I bought a bunch of them. But basically, Trey, you like that, Trey? All right. We're back to that. Please don't tell my wife how much I spent on these DVDs. But this could save you literally thousands of dollars, folks. The techniques and tactics in here to try to deal with the taxes on your 401k, the tax tumor, we understand and know how to deal with that. So again, if you meet with us, just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on the Let's Get Started, and we'll provide you a free DVD. So scenario number 2, you might say, well, I've got a spouse and we'd like to retire, Tony, but we're not the age of 65. Can we do it? Well, we've got a husband and wife. We roll their 401ks over. We figure out their Social Security. We come up with a strategy to pay off this house. They've got a residence that they still want to figure out how to pay $75,000 on to remodel their home. Absolutely, we can use this money now to do the things they want to do with their home, keep them out of debt, and at the same time at age 70 again, there's our mailbox money. So those are the issues of what we can do. Now you might say, well, Tony, you know, what's wrong with my 401k? You know, there's a great book written by William Woolman. We covered this on the TV show this morning called The Great 401k Hoax. So the concern I have is many of you, when I meet with you, you have no idea what's going to happen to this 401k. So what we're going to do real quick in the essence of time, and again, we'll be taking questions, so be ready, is kind of lay out something very interesting we ran for you. Now in finance, I studied under a gentleman named Bob Castellone. He taught me something really cool. We all want the perfect world in finance. The perfect world says that basically in this example, we'll walk over here, Aaron, keep an eye on me. If you were 25 years of age, and let's say in the perfect world, you were able to set $10,000 a year aside in your 401k till 65, all right? That number, let's see what that would grow to in the perfect world, would be $1.6 million. That is a lot of money. And I would say congratulations. Of course, the 401k is a great savings tool. We're getting ready to see it's a lousy planning tool, folks. So we have to look at that and say, well, wait a minute. What is the real world? Well, the real world is you got inflation. We did some calculations. So assuming inflation was at 3%, the inflation cost was $540,000. So obviously the money you have, the 1.6 million in the real world, that's not what it's really worth because you haven't had any use of this money. Let's say you had fees charged by Wall Street. Let's assume 1.5%. Well, they took another $235,000. That's why paying 1.5% in fees, folks, it's going to come back to haunt you. What about the federal taxes due at the end of this? Remember, you got a tax tumor. Assuming 25%, you owe the federal government $260,000. Assuming 5% state tax, you owe the state tax of Kentucky or wherever you're located another $55,000. So if you add all this up, what is the net? What in the real world did you really net after all these costs? About $780,000. So look at this, folks. Over 40 years, you put in $400,000. After everybody else got their money, you know, the government indirectly through the stealth tax, inflation got $540. Wall Street got $235. That could even be fees from insurance companies or whoever. The government got $260 and $55. So you made $380,000 because your cost basis was $400. So you're sitting there saying, well, Tony, what's the solution? Well, that's what we do at Tony Walker Financial. We don't wait to put all this the money out there and just leave it there. We don't wait on the money, we go get it. In fact, it's interesting, that article, do we have that, Megan, that came out before we close? I want to show you something that's happened in Congress. Can you pull that up, Meg? We don't have that, that's okay. So recently Congress enacted, this was a vote, majority of Congress voted for this, to extend the required minimum distribution age from 70.5 to 72. Now, why would they do this? Well, you got to remember, there's $28 trillion estimated to be in pre-tax accounts that hasn't been taxed yet. In addition to postponing that money, they now, in this bill, would take away the ability for heirs to stretch the IRA. So currently, if I were to die with an IRA, my wife and I, we leave it to our kids, they could stretch that tax tumor over their lifetime, which would help them. Well, they're going to force those kids to take it out in 10 years. So $22 trillion deficit, $28 trillion of untaxed money. I think the government knows what they're doing when they do this. So we got to be really careful there, folks. We've got to have a game plan now to attack the tax tumor so we can use and enjoy the money. So how do we do this? If you work with us with the Worry-Free Retirement, we get paid in one of two ways. We can either charge commissions, which everybody makes commissions. Anybody selling an annuity is going to make a commission. All right, they're all the same. They're filed with the state of Kentucky. You can find those out, and your advisor should share that commission. We do that all the time. Or if we do the split IRA, we can charge fees. We already told you that's only 0.6%. Well, how's that going to affect your money? Well, let's say you go with the other guys and they're charging 1.5%. In this calculation, it's just an assumed calculation. If we went with a no-fee annuity, assuming 5%, you would have $663,000. If you went with our platform with Schwab at 5% and we charge 0.6%, you'd have a little less, $588. We're just comparing apples to apples here with fees. The other guys, they're going to charge over $100,000 and you'd have $490. So what is the solution to this? The solution is to sit down with us, let us review everything. Let me see your past most recent tax return. Let me see your statements. This is a statement. I forgot to bring that up too here. Get on me next time. Get on me next time, Trey, because I had a whole statement full of fee analysis we've done. Did you get that? Do you have the fee analysis on there, Megan? Do we have that slide too? Okay, we'll go over. So we'll do the fee analysis for you when we meet. We'll review your 401k statement. We'll show you how the split IRA works. There it is right there. We can do this. We do this in the office. Here's somebody that didn't realize what their advisor was charging. Their advisor ended up charging 1.4, and we did an analysis on all the mutual funds. Look at that. By the time it was all said and done, every year they're charged 2%. We put them in a no-fee annuity. We saved them $2,500 per year. Now, we can do a lot with $2,500 a year. That's a guaranteed amount of money. All this stuff over here is not guaranteed. So again, folks, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. Let's get together and talk and meet and go over your situation with me in person. And by the way, limited time, we're going to give you a free copy of that DVD as well. The Tax Train is coming, The Power of Zero. Okay, so I think my favorite son-in-law, Trey, you've got a question? You got one there, Trey? Are you mic'd up? Make sure you're mic'd. Unmute.
Yeah, so we actually do have a question from the chat feature. So if you do have questions, please use that. Our first question now is from Keith. Thank you, Keith. He says, if I roll over, say, $50,000 now, would the taxes come out immediately or at tax time? What taxes would come out and approximately what would I net?
Okay, that is a really good question. So the definition of a rollover means that you have a qualified account, 401k, and it gets rolled over to another qualified account, an IRA. So if it's done properly, and we do these all the time, there is no taxes. So in general, until you reach 70.5, if you don't take that money out of that hot little hands of that account and put it in your pocket, there are no taxes. So there would be no cost to move it over to us, and there would be no taxes. Really good question. What was the other part of that question, Trey? Was that, did I catch that one, do you think?
I think you covered most of it. Okay. Yeah, what would he net? But of course, we wouldn't know that until later on.
Yeah, now let's talk about that. Let's say Keith, depending on his age, let's say he just takes it all out. Remember, Keith, if that's $50,000, that goes into your taxable income. So let's say that year you also made $50,000 at work. You take out $50,000, that puts you at $100,000 gross. Depending on your tax bracket there, they're going to tax every bit of that immediately. So that's why you want to do a qualified rollover and to get with somebody like us to figure out the strategy to get it out of there over time. Next question there, Trey.
I think we're going to head to Megan. Megan was sent some questions ahead of time, so we'll go to the board on these.
Okay. Okay, it says, I have an IRA that I recently set up from a previous 401k. The advisor never mentioned fees, and I can't figure out what they are charging me. Can you help me, and what are your charges? So I tell you what, Megan, can you go back to the one slide that we had that shows that fee analysis? Remember, you just threw that up, all those numbers. There you go. So what happens is when you bring me your statements, there's a reason we want to see all your statements in detail, not the little one-page printout from the computer that you got. I want to see all the details because we'll take the time. There's no charge for this. We're going to go through the entire statement, find all those fees, and then break it down and show you what you're being charged. So now what we charge, it depends. If it's a annuity, a commissionable product, the commissions are paid to us by the companies. You pay nothing out of pocket. Of course, we can get into surrender charges and explain how that works. And then if it's Charles Schwab, there's no upfront cost to move it into Schwab. We charge a quarterly management fee. So that would be 0.15. So in other words, let's say you have $100,000 with Schwab with us. So it's 0.6 of 1%. That's $600 a year divided by 4. So whatever that is, $150 a quarter. Also, we try to get very low transaction fee. So we would have none of this with Schwab. That's 0.66. Well, that's how much we charge with Schwab and everything. We average about 0.66. So way too high to be paying in fees, especially in a down market, because remember, you're going to have to keep paying these fees. All right, do we have any other questions there, Trey? Got another one? I realize, oh, this is funny. I realize you do annuities. We do a lot of annuities. By the way, folks, we're proud of annuities. Since 9/11, and I'm thankful for this, but I'm one of the leading individual producers in the country. I think we're up to around that I've produced about 350 million fixed indexed annuities. We don't do variable. I love these products, and here's why. They provide guarantees. They provide mailbox money. I don't know who wouldn't like that. Somebody came in the other day and they had a pension, and I said, oh, you've got an annuity. And they go, no, we don't do annuities around here. I don't like annuities. And I said, look at your pension statement. We looked closely, and it said annuity. They were flabbergasted. Social Security, pensions, private annuities, that's what they are. They provide guarantees. Who wouldn't want that? So the next time you see somebody talking about how much they hate annuities, ask them to sign over their Social Security to you, because that's what that is, all right? But anyway, yeah, we do a lot of annuities. But as far as licensed in the stock market, it's not that I hate the stock market, folks. That's not what I'm saying. I've been licensed to sell securities since 1986. I got in business in 84. I used to manage a platform with Schwab in the 90s before people even knew what a registered investment advisor was. Back then, I ditched all my security licenses, was able legally to become an investment advisor. I managed money in the 90s. I've done this a long time. I took a hiatus off after 9/11, and now we're back in, but we're doing it differently. We're using the Schwab platform not to try to grow all your money. Yeah, this is the Schwab platform. Yeah, incidentally, about 2 years ago, we started this platform. We've got about $70 million with Schwab. So yeah, we're a believer in the market, but we use it sparingly and we use it in the right situations. So we have, besides all the annuity clients, well over 2,000 and 300 million plus of annuity premium. We've also got 70 million with Schwab and about 1,000 clients. If you'd like a brochure, this is called The Winning Relationship. This explains our relationship with Schwab. Megan, also go to their, what's that Find an Advisor slide? Can you find that? That's pretty cool. Yeah, so you can go to Schwab's Independent Advisor Learning Center. You type in the zip code, and what Schwab will help you do is find an independent. I'm an independent fiduciary. I don't work for anybody else. I work for you. An independent fiduciary. And in our case, if you type in the zips of Lexington, Louisville, and Bowling Green, we're going to pop up on those because obviously we work in all three areas. So really good question. Anything else, Trey? We're watching time. Okay. Okay, there you go. That's good. Is the Charles Schwab account that you manage mailbox money? Well, since I've trademarked that term, I'm going to define it because this is the way my granddad defined it. Mailbox money is defined as guaranteed income you can never outlive. So theoretically, no, the Charles Schwab account, even if we use our most conservative account, will have a little bit of risk. And obviously, it can't provide guaranteed mailbox money. So only the annuity can provide the mailbox money. So the Charles Schwab is used more for access, flexibility, liquidity. And then if you want to try to have a little bit of growth in the market, we can certainly do that. Anything else? Trey, we've got another one? Okay, maybe one more, and then we need a call to action. Trey, what else would you want to add? I think there was something you wanted to make sure that I flubbed on last time.
Yeah, just real quick, the link in the chat is how you would request an appointment. So as soon as you click that, fill out just your name, your best phone number to get a hold of you today or tomorrow. Our office will reach out and set up a time to meet with you. Okay. We do have a couple quick other questions. I think we have time to cover a few more.
All right.
One from Leonard right now is taxes are at an all-time low right now. Mm-hmm. What would be some ways to pay the taxes on my 401k before taxes may increase in the future?
Okay, it depends on the age. Let's say Leonard is 50 and we can't move the 401k out. That's the problem with the 401k, folks. You're funneling all this money in and everybody's told you to max it out. It's the worst thing you can do because now the money's all locked up. First of all, as a rule of thumb, put in up to the match, and unless you're in a really, really high tax bracket, don't max out your 401k. That's a mistake. But anyway, what in this case with Leonard, let's say he's 50, all right? I would switch over to a Roth. If your 401k allows it, start making Roth contributions. Now, if Leonard's old enough to move the money over to us under certain parameters, or again, Leonard has a former 401k, even if he's 50, you could put it in our platform, and depending on your tax bracket, we could do what's called Roth Conversions. So it's kind of like the old Fram oil filter. We could pay some of those taxes now. Once we convert it to a Roth, though, it's tax-free forever. So I agree. We're at some of the lowest tax rates in history. We got a huge deficit. We think the tax rates are going to go up in the future. That's my prediction. And the point is, why in the world, if we know what the tax rates are now, we want to deal with them now rather than putting off the pain and thinking they're going to be less. I don't think that's the case. I think Leonard's correct. We can help you attack that tax tumor now. Do you have another one, Trey?
Yeah, one more.
Appreciate the questions.
Yeah,
okay.
From Ralph. This one is, how long does it take to do a rollover, and are there any fees associated with it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the gentleman in last night that just turned 59 and a half, he already wanted to do it. I was meeting him, it was like 7:30 in the evening last night when I was meeting with him. But so already today, Connie in our office, who's been with me 15 years, she's done more 401k rollovers than most advisors have probably even heard of. She's been doing these for years and is very efficient at it. So what we do is we contact the custodian that you have. Let's say it's Mutual of Nairobi, who's got your current 401k, or Shifting Sands of Texas. But anyway, Connie would get on the phone with them. You're on there with it, and she walks you through and does all of it. In most cases, they will close that account out by the end of the day, have a check to you. Usually they send it to your household. That's the address of record. And you will have a check within 3 to 4 days. You're not going to freak out. It's not made out to you. It'll be made out to the new companies we put it with. So let's say we put it with Schwab to start off with. That might be where we initially put it in that bucket to get everything situated. You would bring that check to us. So within a week, about a week to 10 days in most cases, you will have out of the 401k, out of the risk of the market, and into our worry-free retirement split IRA. So generally just plan on 7 to 10 days. Now, if you have a pension, we do a lot of lump sum pensions, that's different. We will help you with all the forms and all that, but you have to officially terminate from your employer to get that pension. It can be 30 to 45 days before that pension, which we can put that in the split IRA as well. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So why don't you give them a call to action one more time on the link, and then remind them about the video. And
just another reminder, that link right there, the TonyWalkerFinancial.com/webinar meet, that is the link to go ahead and request an appointment. Our office will reach out and give you a call to set up a convenient time to meet with one of our specialists. Tony, like he mentioned, will have that Power of Zero DVD for you as well. Mm-hmm. And I think we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 additional questions.
Okay, I'm fine. Yeah,
I've got.
I had some watermelon and cottage cheese.
Yeah, you're ready. You're ready.
I'm in good shape.
I've got one from Clay. Clay looks like he's possibly watched the Sequence Risk TV show a little while back.
Okay.
But he asked, you talked about using the Charles Schwab platform for 8 to 10 years, then using the annuities as your mailbox money. What if Sequence Risk knocks off, say, $59,000 to $100,000 up front when you're using that income for the first several years?
Mm-hmm. Really good question. So the beauty of the Schwab platform and what we can do, we don't always follow the game plan because what he's mentioned there, the sequence risk. So let's use the example. Let's say we move some money over with Schwab and we're getting ready to drain money out of the Schwab account. Okay, thank you. So let's say the Schwab is here and we've got the annuity here. The beauty is we can take 10% penalty-free withdrawals out of the annuity. So let's say the Schwab account takes a little bit of a beating and it's dropped down because it's maybe the market's down 10%. We could stop that bucket immediately. See, this is the beauty, folks, of having staff that are trained and we know what the heck we're doing here. So what he's saying is, well, if this account's going down, you don't want to take money out, do you? Well, of course you don't. We just stop it. We come over here to the fixed bucket, which is guaranteed not to lose any money. And maybe that 1 year, let's say it's worth $300,000. We transfer $30,000 over to Schwab, no biggie. We leave it in cash and drain it out, the $30,000 that way. So really good questions. All of these things you're asking, folks, we have, again, doing it this long, I've run into about everything. So is that any more questions, Trey? I don't want to start rambling. Have we got any more?
We've got a couple more dealing with Roth conversions.
Let's go.
Or
Keep
Roth
real quick.
401ks.
Okay, I hope that answered that one gentleman's question. Go ahead.
Yeah, this Don has a question. What if your 401k doesn't allow a Roth?
Well, that's a problem. Then you got to ask yourself, well, wait a minute, why am I putting this 401k? Then we would look in that case, again, I don't want to make any blanket statements here. In that case, what I would do is I would want to meet with you. I'd want to see your most recent tax return. I'd want to see all your income. I want to know your retirement goals. And then we would have to dive in there and say, okay, is this really the best thing to be doing? Remember, folks, there's 4 different taxations. The 401k is just one of them. So I know sometimes people laugh at this. This is a mouthful, but you have pre-tax tax deferred, after-tax tax deferred, after-tax tax-free. There's all kinds of things you can do. All we're talking about with the 401k is pre-tax. If they don't offer the after-tax within it, we may have to come outside and see if we can do after-tax planning. We don't know that until we look at the tax returns and see your current income, et cetera, but that's something we can do. You got another one, Trey? Did you say you had 2 there?
We have one from Ralph. If you're within 5 years of retirement, does it make sense to enroll within a Roth?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, because even if you enroll in a Roth, so what Ralph is saying there, let's say he's 62, getting ready to retire, we would do the same thing for people already retired with a Roth conversion. Remember, you can't spend it all at one time. The idea is we're trying to get some of that money positioned now to be taxed so we can take advantage of the lower rates. Then 5, 10, 15 years down the road, we could use that Roth because it's tax-free. So yeah, there's hardly never a good time to at least not consider a Roth. I've had people do Roth conversions, Ralph, even when they're in their 70s. I mean, they're already retired. They're thinking, well, why wouldn't I just take the tax hit now? And we could do all kinds of really cool planning things to create tax-free money. So when they die, their kids won't be taxed to death on that. So remember, this tax tumor, here's the key, that tax tumor will not go away. You're going to have to work to chip away at it, and that's where we come in, and we would like the opportunity to help you. All kinds of different ways to do that. Again, I kid around my wife sometimes. She said, Tony, you seem to, when she watches the show occasionally, she said, she looks surprised. She's like, you seem like you really know what you're doing. But again, I've done this 35 years, trained with some of the best folks in the industry, and fortunately, and I'm very thankful for this, have worked literally and met with over 10,000 people over the years face-to-face. So that's another thing, folks. If you want to meet with me face-to-face and go through this, I'm happy to do that. There's no cost or obligation. You would be meeting with me in person. One more thing, August 13th, we are going to be over in Georgetown, Kentucky. We've had some feedback from LEX TV. We're on TV over there in Lexington. We're going to do a workshop over there specifically on how to roll over your 401k. So if you're retired or retiring soon, you're not going to miss that. It's a free workshop. I'll be personally presenting that. Georgetown, Kentucky, August 13th. I'll tell you what, let's wrap it up. We've got to move along here. That watermelon's not lasting too long. I have to get something more substantive to eat here. But thank you very much. We'll be having, what are we talking about, Trey? Maybe another 2 weeks out, we're going to plan on another webinar?
Yeah, we'll be sure to get them on the email list, and they'll see the invites. And I really appreciate the Q&A feedback here in the chat.
Yeah, that's been great. Thank you all very much, and have a good day.